Hello, welcome back to ABI-DOS. Right, last episode we finished Logic Board, so it was cool. In fact, we challenge moded it, which is even cooler. So yeah, very nice solve here. I think this episode we're gonna just move on. Altitude plotter. This one I think is gonna be fun. Like look at the interface. I think I'm gonna have a lot of interesting stuff going on in here. So let's see what it's all about. Altitude plotter. Yeah, look at this. Alright, let's turn challenge mode off. Turning it on makes it look very interesting. It's almost just as big as the actual board itself. It's missing a whole border plus 5 cells. That's all. So it looks like we're gonna need a lot of space. Alright. So this program represents sectors of terrain elevation. Oh, like a contour map, right? I think it's like a contour map. As you provides a set of values indicating altitude starting from 1 for the lowest point. So each of these numbers are in altitude, right? Yeah, okay. Fill empty cells to draw sectors with similar altitudes, grouped in intervals of 10. Each sector, code 167. Oh, which are the... These aren't pixels, right? What are these? I think these are like the... I don't know, I think that's striped pixel. Each sector should be colored based on the following altitude range. 10 to 19 is red, 20 to 19, 20 to 29 is yellow, 30 to 39 is green, and 40 more is cyan. Compare each tile with the tiles that are 2 positions away from it in all directions. So, yeah, I can see that this yellow thing over here basically groups up everything that is between the heights of... Well, 10 to 19 is here. Then from here to here is 20 to 29. Then from here to here is 30 to 39. And then inside here is that. So we can like say this is like a valley. In all directions. Oh, that even includes diagonals, it looks like. This 7 and 13 are also compared. Okay. Okay, so what you want me to do is, for each of these items, you want me to select the 8 things Okay, hold on. Question. If I simply change the value of this pixel, let's just say I change the value of this pixel to something, it will become incorrect. I see. So we don't want to do that. Okay, that might present a few problems. But essentially for each of these positions, I want to measure the 8 things around it, the 8 positions around it, and for every single position for which there is a jump in height. So let's say the 23 and the 19, there's a jump in height from the 10 to 19 range to the 20 to 29 range. The same goes for the 17 to 23, and then the other 17 to 23. If this happens, then between them, I must put the color that is equivalent to, I believe, the larger range. 23 is a larger range, so the one between them is yellow. Yeah, okay, understandable. And I think that holds true for every single one of these. But the ones on the outside border are going to be a bit more different, right? I'm going to need to check 8 values though. 8 values. 8 values, and each value does something different. Not necessarily different, but the directions they move are different. Okay. How do I want to logistically do this? Like, okay, let's just start from the very first one. This 22 only has 3 things to check. It only checks 19, 26, and 26. And there's a pixel between the 22 and 26, but this is not for this interval. It's for the 19 and 26 here. which means that even if this is left blank for the first check, the 19 checking with 26 will eventually put a yellow here. So it's fine, honestly. But we do have to check 19, 26, and 26 here. And because of 22 and 19, okay, how would I do a check? Like, for example, how will I make it so that... Because I can't just measure the difference. I can't just measure the difference. Right? I have to... Well, if I divided this by 10 and I divided this by 10, it would give me... I could also take... No, not mod 10. Mod 10 gives me the 1 digit. Dividing by 10 would decimalize it, but it would round down, I believe. So I think it will round down no matter what. Yeah, it rounds it down, which means you always get the tens digit, basically. So 19 divided by 10 is... Well, it'll give you a 1 as your result. So therefore, if I divide by 10 on both sides and compare those values, then I will get a lot of information. Firstly, I'll get if there's any height difference, and secondly, with the larger value, I'll be able to obtain the thing here, the color necessary. I find it really interesting though that I have to create the color myself, because some of these colors are not necessarily the easiest colors to use, right? We have red, green, and blue here, but we also want yellow and cyan. I believe cyan is made with can I see here? No. Cyan is blue and green, yellow is red and green. So those two colors have to be created manually as well, which I think is really interesting. It's not like in what's the very first one? There was one that was very colorful. I think rectangle test. Yeah, but the color was given to us, so we could just duplicate off of that. Whereas in here, I have to create my own color. That is surprising. But okay, I do think that dividing by 10 is a great idea. So that's how we'll do that. Let's create that as a thing first. So okay, it's gonna be pretty hard to do here. Let's suppose we have something coming in here. Let's suppose we have 2 items coming in here. There you go. Okay, so each of these will represent the 2 different bits that we're comparing. We can't assume one is smaller than the other because it could be the other way around, where this was a 19, this was a 22. But we want to basically divide by 10 and then divide by 10 on both sides. We want to compare on which is larger, which is actually very easy to do just with a writer. So a writer and then a definer, not a definer, a writer and then a comparator on the larger, smaller. If they're equal, then nothing happens because you would just leave a blank, right? But this basically does the job. It compares the 2 things, and then that's it. If it activates, that means this is bigger. If it doesn't activate, that means this is bigger. Yeah, and then based on that, we can use the bigger value to then do all the calculations based on what color. We can... Yeah, I mean, all of these colors can be linked to a certain tens digit. So red is the 1's digit, yellow is the 2's digit, green is a 3's digit, and cyan is a 4 digit. 4's... What? No, red is a digit, is a tens digit of 1. So 1's digit, then 2's digit. Red is a tens digit of 1, yellow is for 2, green is for 3, cyan is for 4. Cool. So, I mean, that's the simple part, right? The problem is, how do I measure all 8 directions? Because the diagonals also count, which is the one that's troubling me a little bit, at the very least. How will I do that? I need like 8 full channels to pull this off. The reason why I think it's 8 full channels is, as you can see, in Inertial Simulator and the other simulators, each of the directions are linked to Well, it's linked to an initial up or down direction, then a left or right direction, which is the diagonals, right? In Flat Fall Simulator, it's a left and right. Yeah. But here it's all 8. So how will I do that? Okay, I see. Suppose we were to look at something to the top right of this. It would be like up here above on the where the word put is. But because of the wrapping effect of this grid, which does happen by the way, we've covered them on the edge case. I think it was episode 19, I think. We covered that. In each of the 4 directions, you wrap around to the opposite side of the grid, which means that going up right twice actually leads you to this. Is it that? No, that's the 4th one. This one. So this bit over here, the 22, to its top right is actually this bit over here. And as it turns out, I think in all directions where you have a bit directly in that direction, the next one in that direction is also a pixel. Right? You won't get a number in that direction, which means you always get a pixel. So if we went down left, we'll go down here, we'll go down left and wrap around to, I believe, this one. That's also going to be a pixel. And that's great because the entire board is made of, the border is technically made of 2 pixels per row. Oh, ooh, I don't know about, oh, this looks interesting. This is a lot less colorful. Also, I'm thinking of an edge case. What happens if you jump from a, like let's say a 1-digit number to a 2-digit, to like a 2. So like what if you jump from like a 6 to a 21? What color would that be? Is there ever a case where that happens? I don't think there is. I think each of these test cases are specifically designed to not do that. And I'm not sure if it's stated here. I don't think so. Usually contour maps don't do that. The reason why contour maps can never do that is because if you look at a real life thing, right, the only way you could jump from, like, let's say a 7 to a 23, the only way you can jump from that is with an extremely steep slope or a vertical line. In fact, even for a very steep slope, right, you can squeeze the contour lines just enough that would still theoretically be accurate. Because if you're marking the point where it marks 7 and then marking the point where it marks 23, right, there is actually a very tiny bit of horizontal space between them. Unless it's a completely vertical, in which case, well, a completely vertical wall is very unlikely in real life. Although now I think about it, what about cliffs? How do we mark cliffs in contours? Huh, never thought of that. I guess I have to look it up. How they mark cliffs in contour maps? I don't know. Because cliffs, yeah, cliffs are it's a slope in the wrong direction. So it slopes inwards. Does that mean that is in fact a vertical drop? In which case, how would it be marked on a contour map at all? I don't know. Okay, but what this means for us is from my deduction or from my realization, you can actually mark all 8 directions without going wrong. Because you can in fact you can in fact what was I gonna say? You can in fact eliminate all 170. Sorry, I blanked out for a moment. Okay, so what is the most logical way to do this? Let's say we got to this number here, and out from 0 comes the digit 32. Perfect, what do we do with that? We are looking at all 9 of these digits here. All 8, I mean. 8, excluding the middle digit. How will we get through them? What I think maybe makes the most sense is going to one of them and then rotating around clockwise. Either that, or is it possible to... Hold on, I want to check something. If the value of a bit were negative, say negative 25, and I read its position on a signal, which is, I believe, here. Says the U-bit's value, no. Says the position of the pointer. What will happen? So it's now negative 25, it sets it back to 0. That could also work. Although I'll find it a little harder to work with. But besides going up and then going around, I could also generate the 8 values, the positions of these 8 digits based on the digit here. All I need to do is, you know, find a number of spaces between this digit and this digit. And then I can do the same for all of these. And I could apply those equations to each of these digits over here. Yes. Technically that would work, but that would be a lot of equations, and each equation will also be different for each of these values. So it makes a lot more sense that maybe I just hit one of them and then walk around and then come back. So like maybe I hit this 33, go all the way around and come back. That's how it hit all 8 digits. But the problem with that is that for each digit, don't I also need to do something to the center? Like, between the 32 and the 29 here, I'm also going to need a green thing, a green pixel. How am I going to pull that off? I don't know. Okay. So, alright, so. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to do a check. Yes, I'm gonna have eight columns. I'm gonna have 8 columns here. So each column will follow as such. This goes here. This digit has to be written down somewhere. This digit has to be saved. And then like, I guess maybe one better way to do this is to go this way, then come back, then go up, then come back, then go this way and come back, because you always pass through the middle cell, which allows you to fill in if required. Yes. Yes, I think it will work. The key thing to note is that reading something and writing and sending in something both push the pointer forward by 1. It allows me to duplicate an instruction. Okay, so the idea that I want is, let's see if I can write this down to make it easier for me to just understand first. When I hit a number 32, read and save that value, whether it be through a writer or storing it in a obstructor, something. Save the value. Second, I'm gonna move the pointer to position 1, or to, I don't know, let's just say 2 north, 2 west, just because that's the first thing that shows up in numerical order. So 33, and then read. Next, we want to use the divide by 10 method. Oh, so maybe I want to take this value and divide by 10 first before saving it. read, divide by 10, save. Because the tens digit is really what we're looking for. We don't really care about, you know, the ones digit. As long as the tens digit is a 3, it's considered to be in the green zone. Even a 30. Thank goodness it's not 31 to 40. That would make things a lot worse. Although theoretically I could just subtract 1 and then divide by 10. But, you know, it's better to just have things look like this. Okay, so. Alright, so we read the original value, divide by 10, save. Now move pointer 2 north and 2 west, then read. Okay. Next, we also need to divide by 10. And then compare. Okay. Okay. If... But I need to compare... How? Okay, compare for larger value. Wait, but the problem is that there are 3 possible outcomes here. The 2 digits, the 3 possible outcomes is first is larger than second, second larger than first, or they're the same. And each of the outcomes lead to different results. So I can't just do a single comparison. That will only give you 2 possible results, and you cannot cover all 3 possibilities in this case. Like, if this 29 and 32 were flipped, right, this would actually be... Oh, it wouldn't matter. It would be green either way. Oh, there are only 2 possibilities. Wait, then why did I still need a larger value. Yeah, I still need a larger value, which could be on either side. Okay, larger value. Yeah, I'll come back for the larger value and then I'll save the larger value. Okay. Move pointer. So since we moved 2 north and 2 west, we want to move it 1 south and then 1 east. So move it backwards by 1. Not in this case, so if we actually read 33, we're actually going to have to, the pointer will actually move east on its own. So what we'll want to do is we'll actually just want to move 1 south. Okay. So if larger value exists, set that to its color. Set the appropriate color. Appropriate, how do I spell this? Color. If same, leave empty. Therefore, send in a 0. The 0 does count as a blank value. Then step 4 is move pointer 1 south again. And so repeat for the other 7 directions. That is our plan. So now, I do note that I actually, I think I probably want to make a list of what to do in each direction. Okay, so I will make a list. If out is in certain direction, what is the in instruction? So there will be 8 possible directions, right? Okay, if we start 2 north, 2 west. Will it work wrapping around? I think it should work wrapping around. It definitely should work wrapping around. There's no reason for it not to work wrapping around. It is identical to just having another copy of this right beside itself, so there shouldn't be anything wrong with that. Okay, so if 2 north, 2 west, reading will set you 1 south, 1 east, so you only need to move 1 south. And then writing, when you move after 1 south, will also send you back east, so you just only move 1 south. So that's the beauty of this machine. Reading and writing both push you forward by 1, which means you can actually duplicate this instruction. And duplicating this instruction seems maybe necessary for a quick... Well, it might seem necessary, it might not seem necessary. I find it interesting that I have to do this 8 times with 8 different columns. I'm not sure if I have enough space for that. But we'll see. Okay. It might be better if I went here, went around, then went in, and then went around again. It actually might be better. Also, I don't want to leave this empty. I want to send it a 0. If the values are the same, I don't want to leave it empty. I want to send a 0. Because I also want it to be pushed forward. I want the pointer to be pushed forward. Sending the 0 is the best way to do that. Oh, wait, but there's a problem, isn't there? I could accidentally rewrite something. For example, the 19 and the 26 here are read first, then this 26 when measuring with the 22 there will accidentally rewrite to 0. Leaving empty seems better. So sending in nothing. Okay, so I don't want to send 0. I want to push pointer forward by 1. So we want to purposefully not send anything here. Okay, fair enough. That's a valid thing to do. Okay, so if I move 2 north, my steps are I've moved here. I have to move 1 south, 1 west. If I move 2 north, 2 east, it's 1 south and 2 west. If I moved 2 east, it's 3 west. Right? No. 1, 2, here. No, it's 2 west, it's 2 west. Okay. Then if I moved 2 south, 2 east, because we're going clockwise. 2 south, 2 east, I'll be moved here. I'll have to move 1 north and 2 west. If it's simply 2 south, I'll be here. I need to move 1 north, 1 west. If it's here, which would be 2 south, 2 west, then I need to move 1 north. And the cool thing, if it's 2 west alone, then I need to move nothing. Because reading and writing will push it back in the correct position either way. The question is, do I actually want to do this? Or would I prefer to read all 8 digits and then save the 8 digits, and then the 8 digits will later do their thing. I don't mind that. The problem is that I don't really no, I don't know if this is a good idea or not. Technically, I think it might be better because there are only 2 pointer moving instructions. One for the outer ring, one for the inner ring. And they're theoretically not too challenging either because one of them is just a larger version of the other one. I think. I don't know how it works. I don't think I want to know how it works. But I really don't want to have to build 8 whole columns of this nonsense either though. Is that an easier way? I don't think there's an easier way. Yikes. No easier way to do this. Okay, I guess we're gonna do this then. Let's attempt to do this. If we run out of space, then we might have to change parts here. But at least we have multiple plans. if one happens to fail, right? Yeah, I think so. Okay, okay. Now the thing is, I need to read and divide by 10, I need to save the value. Would I rather save the value in an obstructor or with a writer? If I save in a writer, the problem is that I can't actually compare it to a larger value. Like, if I saved a 3, and then like a 29 came in, I can't turn it into a 3. I think. Yeah. And then if it were instead of 29 with a 32 being tested, I would need to keep the 3. So there would need to be some way to measure for a larger value as well. I don't like this. I do not like this idea one bit. Get it? Because we're dealing with bits. Yeah. Okay. 4, 6, 8, 10. This is 15 long. So we're kind of make like each column 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, this is 9 tall. So it's like each column slash row has to be exactly 1. You can't make it where each column is 2 wide. If it's too wide, it becomes actually too wide because it would take up 16 spots. And now the dimensions here can fit that on one of the columns. How in the world am I going to do this? I'm just really hesitant to do anything because it feels like anything I do is inefficient. I also have to remove 170s, by the way. Or if... Well, okay, if it's 170, then divide by 10 gives you the value of 17. We can set 17 to a white colored bit. Or neutral, or not a neutral bit, like an actual pixel. A 17 will be the larger value, and that larger value will have to link to the white pixel. That's what 170 on the other side would mean. Mean that between them there would be a pixel. Right? I would say that. I would say I could accept that. The problem is I need to color things as well. That's so tough. That's so tough to do. Like, what? Read all of these? Also, how do I read all of these anyway? Like, what's the ideal path to get all of these in one go? It's gonna be a very long chain of events that has to happen that isn't sequential, is it? Like, I have to read this, then move, then move, then move, then move, then move, then move, then move. And it's different in like a lot of cases. Like from this 28 to the 33 here, or from the 28 to the 31, it's gonna be different from the 29 to the 28. So like, it's I can't make it a simple process to get all 8 values out at once. At least I don't think so. So okay, question: how do I do it for inertial simulator? So it goes here first. Yeah. So this splits. It will check. It will check whatever's down here, whatever's over here. And I don't know what these two values are. Alright, this 0. Wait, what? No, this 0 is here. Wait, we read two things. Oh, we read whatever's below and whatever's to its right. Right, I see. So we read whatever's below and whatever's to its right. We figured out if any of them were actual pixels. We then realized that none of them were pixels, so nothing changed. It kept moving in the diagonal direction. And I will do this until something happens, which is here, where on the right, it checks for a 170. So that will activate one of these things to change that direction to, instead of moving right, it will start moving left. Right. Which is like that. But it will still move down. So yeah, that's how that worked. This is not going to do like here. This has basically nothing to do with that idea. I just don't know what to do. Because you only have 2 things to check. In that case, you only have to check down and right. But here I have 8 things to check. And all 8 are different. It's like I can't make it. I can't make it so that there's a simple step to get even just a set of these. I think it really does have to be slowly going through the entire sequence. Right? I don't know, does it? Does it? What in the, how in the world am I gonna do this? How in the world am I gonna do this? I don't know. I'm just overwhelmed right now. I think I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna say I figured out how to. I figured out what I wanted to do, and I will actually do it next episode when I've composed myself and I actually understand what's going on. Because I really don't know what's better here. I'm scared to try. So I think I'll try next episode. I don't think I'll do anything for now. I think I'm just gonna stare at this for a while on my own time, and we'll see what we can do about it. See, I realized that at some point you get duplicate checks, right? So we could probably save by only checking half the things. We only need to check what's... Will there always be duplicates? If we check whatever's above us, we don't need to check whatever's below us. If we check whatever's to our left of us, we only need to check whatever's to the right of us, because for the bit that eventually comes out, the left check will be equivalent to our right check. Right? Okay, so we only need to check for 4 different directions. And those 4 different directions are... They're not the orthogonal directions, they're northeast, northeast, and northwest. So like 1/2 of the compass. We only need to check half the compass because the other half will be checked when we go to the other side. Yeah. Okay. So that's how I can reduce the number of checks that I do. I only need to do 4 checks. 4 checks per digit seems at least somewhat more doable. And in fact, that means I can just cancel out half of what I need to do. Like, in fact, I can probably cancel out the one that is easier for us, right? Because checking 2 east, right? If we want to move backwards, we have to move backwards. Like, if we went here and then we read, we have to move back 2 every time we move back 1. But if we went west first, we won't actually need to do anything, and it will just walk back on its own when we do stuff, right? Yeah. So what that means is that I can probably choose what I prefer. I probably would prefer the ones that take me fewer fewer things. Okay, so for example, moving 2 west is better than moving 2 east, because every time you move east and the pointer moves east, you have to move back west. But when you move west and the pointer moves east, you haven't done anything, so you don't need to do anything. Also, that will be true for any time we move west at all. That will be better than moving east. So 2 north, 2 west is better than 2 north, 2 east. And 2 south, 2 west is better than 2 south, 2 east. For the exact same reason. So those are what we want to choose, and they don't clash. As long as they're not opposite each other, they're actually two different directions. And finally, 2 north and 2 south are both the same. Because you'll move east, which is going to happen in which is going to deviate you in the same way in either direction. You will have to. It doesn't matter which, right? So I can choose whichever I want. I can choose whichever. But that means the 4 checks I'll be doing are checking 2 west, checking 2 north, 2 west, checking 2 south, 2 west, and then checking either 2 north of us or 2 south of us. And that will be a lot better. In fact, the idea then is that I'll never actually duplicate anything. Is that true? No, not true. The check between like 26 and 19 here. 19 when checking 2 south, 2 west will check 26. 26 when checking 2 north, 2 west will check 22. So they will both check this value. Which means yes, there will still be some overlaps. And if there are some overlaps, right, you can't just put 0 in, because 0 may overwrite the correct value. Okay, so does not mean that we can simply put in 0 instead of pushing the pointer forward by 1. We still need to push in the pointer forward by 1. But okay, this is very good. I think I'm going to take this, I'm going to think about it, and then I'll come back with some sort of plan to do this in a more systematic way. Yep, okay, feeling a lot more confident about this now. I think that's going to be it for this episode. Until next time, I will see you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys next time. Bye bye.